Hi there, Tracy from Kazadans Equestrian, and welcome to this week's video. If you're new to my channel, please have a look through the videos. I'm sure you're going to find things really helpful. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, share it around. It really will help support me to keep this channel going. If you are a regular subscriber, then welcome back. Today, I'm going to look at a bit of a touchy subject, and that is, am I too heavy or too big for my horse? So this is a topic that actually gets thrown around quite a bit. I've seen online, on Facebook groups, etc., where am I too big for the horse I'm riding, or people accusing you of being too big for the horse you're riding, and it's a little bit of a touchy subject. However, I'm coming from an animal welfare perspective and a welfare of your horse perspective. So let's have a look what science has to say and get some guidelines for working out whether you are or are not too big, tall, or heavy for your horse. So of late, there actually has been a few scientific studies. Now, there's a long way to go in this to actually determine all of the variables. However, one of the things that is agreed upon is that when you get over 17 to 20% of your horse's body weight, now that includes yourself and your tack, you can impair the gait quality of your horse. Now, by impairing the gait quality, this means the horse has to compensate in some way. And to do this as an ongoing thing will genuinely cause some discomfort or injury to your horse. So what does this mean? If your horse is around about the 500 kilo mark, from 85 kilos to about 100 kilos, you need to consider some of the other aspects I'll talk about today. Over 100 kilos, you do maybe need to consider that, yes, you are endangering the welfare of your horse by riding him. So what are some of the things that this will depend on, and what are some of the variables? Well, firstly, gymnastic conditioning, training, strengthening training. This can actually help a horse carry more weight efficiently. So studies here have shown that if about 4 times a week you're including core exercises to strengthen that back and condition your horse, then these horses that are strong enough can often take up to about 25% of their body weight before it starts impacting their gait. Now, what are they using to say impacting gait? If you haven't looked, I've got a ridden ethogram video which shows you how you can sit, or somebody else can sit and observe you riding and mark particular behaviours that a horse shows. That gives us a fairly good indication that the horse is either uncomfortable or in pain. So by using this is how the studies have decided whether a horse is showing gait abnormalities or discomfort or not. Obviously, one of the other things is the type of riding you're doing. Now, if you're going on trail rides, walking with a tiny bit of trot and not actually demanding much more of the horse than that, then the horse is likely to be able to cope a lot easier than if you're doing specific training for dressage, jumping, cross-country, western, anything where there's a lot more trot and canter involved. If you are competing your horse, you do need to then consider, is your weight affecting your horse? One of the other big variables can be saddle fit. Now, there's a difference between being short and 85 kilos and tall and 85 kilos, right? But not so much to the horse. The horse really can only feel the weight of the rider, and a lot of discussion is about balance. So some of these smaller horses with a rider that may be tall simply cannot take a saddle in the correct saddle area to cater for the length of the rider's legs. Now, if you have a long hip to thigh, then you need a longer saddle. If you don't have a longer saddle, then you're likely to be sitting on the back, the cantle area of the saddle, and this in itself will cause the horse discomfort. So not only your weight, but also does your saddle fit both you and your horse, remembering that we do not want any significant weight past the last rib area on a horse's back. One of the other really big issues to consider is actually the horse's conformation. A strong-backed horse, a wide barrel with a nice naturally big flat back is much more likely to be less affected carrying weight than a thinner, more narrow and long horse or pony. So one of the big things here is loin and loin coupling. The loin is the 6 vertebrae behind where the ribs attach. So this is the area between the back of the ribs and the croup. This area is significantly under-supported in the skeleton of the horse and really is a prime area for pain and weakness in the horse. So if you have a mismatch between a powerful hind end and a weak loin, this horse is really quite predisposed to structural damage in the loin area. So if you are a rider that is on the slightly heavier side, then you need to be looking at your horse's loin and its loin coupling. So the loin coupling is actually where that loin vertebrae meets the croup. What we want here is strong, round and well-muscled loins. The longer the loin, so the longer the area between the last rib and the croup area, the longer that is on your horse, the less able that horse is going to be able to carry weight without damage. So simplifying it, the shorter the loin, the stronger the loin area. The longer, the weaker it is. Funnily enough, the horses with the longer loins are sometimes more comfortable to ride. This is because they have more area and they have more freedom in their legs to travel, and they're also more likely to hollow their back, which we actually don't want anyway. Ponies do tend to have a stronger coupling and a stronger loin, shorter loin areas. So from a comparative perspective, they can often take a little bit extra weight than the equivalent on a tall, for example, long, narrow thoroughbred. So let's summarise. If you're a little concerned that you are a bit heavy for your horse, then take everything away and have a look at your horse's conformation. If you feel that the horse's conformation is one of those that can take a slightly heavier weight, and then you think about the weight of your tack and everything and you sit under the 20% mark, you're probably going okay. But if you're borderline, you still need to make sure that that gymnastic conditioning is involved in your ridden work. But to me, one of the biggest things I have seen and have watched and even treated horses from is these smaller horses that are taking a saddle that fits the horse but not the rider. So if your legs are longer and you need a longer saddle to be able to sit in the balance point of the saddle, you could well be doing your horse damage by your weight being projected and pushed down onto the cantle of the saddle. So right, there's still no real clear-cut answer to this, is there? But I'm suggesting that we have a look at all of those things, and if you are on the heavier side, please don't think there's any judgment, because I am certainly not a petite rider myself. However, if you are, please make sure your horse is able to take that weight, is fitted with tack appropriately, and is conducting enough exercise to condition and strengthen that loin area to minimize the risk of discomfort, injury, pain, and increase the ridden career of your horse. Thanks for listening. If you feel this needs to be shared around, please don't forget to like the video any comments you like on the YouTube below. Share this around. Click subscribe. Click that notification bell. That way you do get notified every time I release a video, and I'll see you next week.